Coming in at 9, Gwyneth Paltrow. Apparently this stalker case took place over the course of 20 years. That's right, 20 years. Dante Michael Sauer was accused back in 2016 of sending Paltrow 66 letters and packages between the years 2009 and 2015. According to prosecutors, some of the packages contained pornography, and in certain letters the man talked about marrying the actress. The man was previously found not guilty in 2000 as part of a separate case involving claims that he'd sent Paltrow pornography and sex toys. He was in turn sentenced to undergo treatment at a mental health facility, but he was later arrested again in 2015 when he began sending letters once again. Paltrow described the ordeal as a very long and very traumatic experience. In at number 8, Hugh Jackman. Now this story is just baffling and absolutely terrifying. Catherine Thurston was an obsessed fan of Hugh Jackman's. One might say Thurston was thirsty. Catherine Thurston was an obsessed fan of Hugh Jackman's, telling people that although she had never met him, she wanted to marry him. However, Thurston just had one problem: Jackman's beard. She hated it and thought he looked better with a clean-shaven face. So what did she do? She waited for him outside his gym and followed him as he went in. When he noticed her, she was holding an electric razor in her hand and she stated, "We're gonna get married, right?" Then, without waiting for an answer, she attacked him with the razor, trying to cut the hair from his face. Thankfully, a personal trainer managed to pull her off and keep her away from people until the police arrived. Absolutely terrifying. There were a lot more details specifically about the razor and its current condition, but I left those out because it was a bit graphic. But just so you know. In at 7, Lana Del Rey. Back in October of 2018, a Florida man was sentenced to 1 year in prison after allegedly stalking singer Lana Del Rey and making disturbing Facebook posts which implied he was going to kidnap the singer after one of her concerts. The man was Michael Sean Hunt, who was ultimately taken into custody by police after receiving tips that Hunt had posted cryptic and threatening messages about the singer on social media. He referred to the singer as his queen and his wife, and wrote that from that day forward their decisions would be as one. I quote, "I love you so much, Lana. I can't wait to be back in your arms in a few days, baby." Police arrested Hunt before he could reach the singer, thankfully, but at the time of his arrest he was a mere few hundred feet away from the venue, which is worrying. Upon his arrest, authorities found a 3-inch folding knife on his person, and he was booked on charges of attempted kidnapping with a weapon and aggravated stalking with a credible threat. Coming in at 6, Justin Bieber. Back in 2012, Bieber almost became an unfortunate victim to one of the most disturbing stalker plots in history, after a criminal came up with a plan that involved kidnapping and mutilating Bieber, simply because he didn't respond to his fan mail. The criminal was convicted felon Dana Martin, who is now serving life in New Mexico for rape and murder. He conspired with former inmate Mark Stake and Stake's nephew Tanner Rowan to kidnap Bieber. The group planned to kill 4 people, 2 individuals that Martin knew, Bieber's bodyguard, and then Bieber himself. According to police reports, Rowan was supposed to Bieber before killing him. However, thankfully the plot failed when Martin turned in his co-conspirators to the police. Thank God. Coming in at 5, Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez has had to deal with a truly terrifying stalker case that was so unsettling she was forced to sell her multi-million-dollar mansion. Within just a few days of moving into her home in Calabasas in 2014, a man named Che Cruz was arrested for trespassing onto Selena's property twice in just 1 week. On the first occasion, Che broke into Selena's guest house after ringing the doorbell and asking the singer's friend if Selena was home. He then left but was later found in the guest house. Cruz was then placed on probation by a judge who ordered him to keep his distance from Selena and her property, and sentenced him to 45 days in jail. Ultimately though, he only spent 2 days behind bars before he was released. He was then arrested again just hours later after hopping a fence to get back onto Selena's property. Horrible. Coming in at number 3, Nicolas Cage. Back when Cage was filming the movie Bring Out the Dead, the actor said he was stalked by somebody dressed up as a French mime. Everywhere Cage went, the mime apparently followed him, watching him and doing what Cage only described as strange things. Now thankfully security got rid of the mime before he could do anything drastic, but Cage hasn't always been that lucky, because a few short years later, he woke up at 2 AM to see a man dressed only in a leather jacket standing above his bed licking a fudgesicle while he watched Cage sleep. Scared as you would be, Cage decided to talk to the man and very quickly realized that he was very mentally ill, before convincing the man to leave his home with no harm done. How he did that, I will never know. Coming in at number 2, Sandra Bullock. In the summer of 2014, Sandra Bullock found a strange man inside of her home. He'd somehow managed to sneak past the security systems and made it inside, and began pounding on her bedroom door, screaming at the actress. Apparently she didn't need to worry though, because he was her husband. His name was Joshua Corbett, a man who suffered from schizophrenia and had convinced himself he was married to Sandra Bullock and the father of her child. He had reportedly been writing her countless letters telling her she was in fact his wife. Bullock hid in her room, and when the police came, they dragged the man away while he yelled, "Sandy, I'm sorry, please don't press charges." Thankfully she called the police though, because when the man was searched, the police found a collection of 24 guns, including machine guns, assault rifles, and homemade explosives. And finally, coming in at number 1, Selena. Selena was a massively successful pop star back in the 90s, with Yolanda Saldivar president of the Selena fan club. She was so obsessed with the star she even turned her home into a shrine for the pop star. However, unlike most fans, Yolanda actually got close to Selena, with the star allowing Yolanda to lead her official fan club and even made her the manager of her clothing boutique, Selena, etc. Selena began to trust the fan, perhaps even considered her a friend. However, behind closed doors, Yolanda was embezzling money from Selena's boutique, and when Selena found out, everything fell apart. She confronted the fan at Days Inn Hotel in Corpus Christi and told Yolanda she was fired. She wasn't having it though, and tried everything in her power to make Selena stay, even pretending she had been raped in a desperate bid for sympathy. However, when everything failed, she pulled a gun out of her bag and shot Selena. The star attempted to run away and made it into the lobby before she collapsed onto the floor. She didn't survive. They even made a film about it, starred J-Lo. It's very good and very sad. Born Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell on December 18, 2001, she is an American singer and songwriter who has hit the big leagues at just the young age of 17. However, her following began long before. She gained a notable following in 2016 when she released her single Ocean Eyes on SoundCloud, and subsequently released on the records labels Darkroom and Interscope Records. Now, her early life consisted of homeschooling, during which time she joined the LA Children's Chorus at the age of 8. Just a few short years later, she would begin writing songs, taking after her elder brother, Phineas O'Connell, who was already writing, performing, and producing his own songs with his band. More interesting still, Billie's song Ocean Eyes was actually written by Phineas for his own band. Don't know about you, but I wouldn't be too happy about that. Now, here's where things begin to get fishy. Phineas is dating YouTuber Claudia Sulewski, who looks a whole lot like Billie Eilish, which has led some fans to believe that Phineas is dating Claudia simply because she looks like his sister, especially considering how oddly close him and Billie are. Anyway, I digress. Back to Ocean Eyes. The song was released as Billie's debut single back in 2016, and the song was certified platinum not long after, peaking at number 84 on the Billboard Hot 100 in May 2019. That very same year, Billie also released the single 6 Feet Under, which didn't do as well, but was still a success for the rising star. Following the huge success of Ocean Eyes, Billie released the single Bellyache on February 24, 2017, with the single Bored coming shortly after, which was used as part of the soundtrack to the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. However, her rise from the ashes came in 2018, arguably her biggest year along with 2019, which saw the singer embark on the Where's My Mind tour, as well as the release of her vinyl featuring an acoustic version of her song Party Favor, as well as a cover of Drake's Hotline Bling. Now in 2019, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go was finally released on March 29, 2019, with the album debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200 as well as on the UK Albums Chart, in turn making Billie the first artist born in the 2000s to have a number 1 album in the United States and the youngest female ever to have a number 1 album in the United Kingdom. Bold flex, big moves. Nothing but respect for my queen. However, her biggest flex would come when her 5th single Bad Guy was released in conjunction with her album, and it peaked at number 1 in the US, in turn ending Lil Nas X's record-breaking 19 weeks at number 1 with Old Town Road. She is also the youngest artist to perform at Coachella, surpassing Lorde. Now, outside of music, Billie has a massive public image with constant media attention that tends to mostly focus on her fashion style, which consists primarily of baggy, ill-fitting clothing, very Adam Sandler-esque. Back in 2017, Billie actually addressed the attention surrounding her style choices, saying that she likes dressing out of her comfort zone to feel like she grabs the attention of everyone around her. However, in 2019, Billie also appeared in a Calvin Klein ad, wherein she mentioned that she dresses in baggy clothes in order to prevent people from body shaming her. I respect that so much. Now, in her personal life, Billie has stated that she actually has Tourette syndrome, which is a common neurodevelopment disorder characterized by multiple motor tics and at least one vocal tic. She also has synesthesia, in which people associate colors with numbers, even music. Billie also has previously stated that she was raised vegetarian and is a big advocate for veganism on social media. Now, let's jump into the meat of this video, why we're all here. The scary theory surrounding this artist. As we know, every now and then a conspiracy theory pops up that just refuses to go away. This is one of those. The Illuminati is one of the biggest theories around, with many believing that the world's most powerful people secretly control the world. Ridiculous, right? Well, according to some theorists, the latest member of the society is none other than Billie Eilish. Now, this is entirely based on the imagery used in Billie's music video, All the Good Girls Go to Hell, which strongly features apocalyptic type imagery. And ever since its release, fans have taken to Twitter to discuss how convinced they are that Billie is in the Illuminati. I quote, "So Billie Eilish single-handedly brought the Illuminati back in 2019. And she's in the Illuminati. There's no point kicking off about it because it ain't gonna change anything. And Billie Eilish is the new face of the Illuminati. I guess. However, other folks went in a different direction with the theories, with one person stating, I quote, "All good girls go to hell and bury a friend feature satanic messages." On Reddit, people have come up with their own theories as well, specifically about how Billie may be involved with the Illuminati. Now, this theory is utterly twisted, with the theorist stating that Billie may have indirectly killed late rapper XXXTentacion, which thereby influenced the song Bury a Friend. The theory also says that in order to gain entry into the secret society, the candidate has to kill someone. So, there we go. At the end of the day, it seems like these rumors are simply that, rumors, and that Billie is likely not a part of the Illuminati, at least I don't think so anyway. After all, if the group really did exist and she actually was a member, would she make it so obvious?
At number 10, Robin Williams. Actor and comedian Robin Williams put a smile on everyone's face. He had the ability to captivate an audience so easily, and he always left an impression on every single one of his fans. Though he had a long and successful career, he also spent some time working for Disney, portraying a number of characters. He worked on projects like Popeye, Good Morning Vietnam, Good Will Hunting, Back to Neverland, Flubber, and more. His most notable Disney production, however, was Aladdin. Robin voiced the genie, bringing that magical blue goofball to life in the most entertaining way. The genie was always meant to be played by Robin, as the character was even written with him in mind, and he brought the character to life in both the original Aladdin and the sequel, Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Sadly, Robin passed away on August 11, 2014 after he took his own life. Though it was originally reported that he suffered from depression, his wife later clarified that he was really suffering from a condition called DLB, saying that Robin's depression was one of the many symptoms of DLB. His last photo was taken at a party the day before he took his own life, and it's so sad to look back at and see that this was the last time he would ever be seen alive in public. At number 9, Heath Ledger. The legendary actor flipped the world upside down when he suddenly passed away in 2008. The media was flooded with articles that broke the news of his body being found on the floor by his housekeeper in his apartment in New York City. He was only 28 years old at the time and had recently finished filming for his role as the Joker in The Dark Knight. Not long after his housekeeper found his body, the emergency crew arrived, but they weren't able to revive him. His cause of death was determined as an accidental overdose. The toxicology test revealed that he had prescription medications in his system, including well-known painkillers, anti-anxiety medication, and sleeping pills. His family ended up taking his body back to Australia and buried him next to his grandparents in his hometown of Perth. His last photo was one that was taken while on set for the film The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, showing him in costume for what would be one of his last roles ever. Before we carry on talking about these celebrities' last pictures, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Princess Diana. Diana was the people's princess. She was loved by so many, made such an impact in a lot of people's lives, and gave back to those in need. She got to live a lavish life as well as she was part of the royal family, but even with the fame and riches, Diana was still terribly unhappy. She faced a number of hardships both in and out of the public eye, and a lot of the pain that she experienced stemmed from her marriage to Prince Charles. Though the people loved them, they were not as close and in love as they should have been, and Diana felt trapped. It wasn't until her divorce that she was able to finally find freedom and start her life over again, but she didn't get to enjoy that freedom for very long, as she passed away tragically in a car accident. There is an image that was taken of her in the car just seconds before it crashed, and it is definitely an eerie photo to see. At number 7, Amelia Earhart. I'm sure you guys have no doubt heard of the famed pilot who tried to cross the globe but was never seen again. In 1937, Amelia departed on her journey to circumnavigate the globe, but after receiving an emergency message from her, people got worried, especially when communication stopped entirely. The search for Amelia began just an hour after her last recorded message, but to this day, Amelia nor her remains were ever found. In 1940, a woman's body was located on Gardner Island, part of the Phoenix Islands in Kiribati in the western Pacific Ocean. Along with it looked to be a campfire, shoes, and navigational equipment. The woman looked to be around Amelia's height, but the body was never truly identified to confirm that this was Amelia. The last photo we have of Amelia was taken just before what would have been her final flight before she was lost forever. At number 6, Michael Jackson. The pop legend died on the afternoon of June 25th, 2009 after he was found in his bed not breathing. He had been rehearsing late the night before and did not leave his room in the morning. That's when his body was discovered the following day in the afternoon by his personal physician, Conrad Murray. He explained that he tried to revive Michael for 5 to 10 minutes but was unsuccessful, so he called paramedics who performed CPR for 42 minutes and were also unsuccessful. He was sent to the hospital and was officially pronounced dead after another hour of attempting to resuscitate him. They determined that he had died from an overdose of drugs following a cardiac arrest. But there's always been a lot of controversy surrounding his death, and people were not convinced that we got the whole story of what happened the night before his passing. One of the last photos that we have of the King of Pop is one from his stage rehearsal. It is crazy to think that this photo was captured not knowing that this performance would never happen. At number 5, Gene Wilder. When someone is diagnosed with a serious illness, it becomes a very tough and personal decision of whether or not to tell people about it. I know people who have chosen to keep their illness a secret until the end, and this is exactly what actor Gene Wilder did. Gene passed away in 2016, but it wasn't until after he died that the public learned about the secret that he was keeping in regards to his health. It turned out that the actor had been battling Alzheimer's for over 3 years before he passed away. After learning of this, a lot of people wanted to know why this news was kept from the public, and the reason behind it is so touching. Gene didn't want to reveal his condition to the public because he wanted people to remember him as who he was, not as someone who was sick. He wanted to keep the smiles on the faces of his fans. In a statement released by Gene's family, they elaborated on the situation, saying, quote, "The decision to wait until this time to disclose his condition wasn't vanity, but more so the countless young children that would smile or call out to him, 'There's Willy Wonka.'" One of the last photos that we have of the actor is one of him simply walking down the street. He never wanted to disclose his illness to the public to make sure that we remembered him well and not while he was sick, so seeing this last photo of him knowing that he was struggling is so heartbreaking. At number 4, Aaliyah. The R&B singer and actress tragically died back in 2001 after being in a plane crash. She was only 22 years old at the time. She was leaving the Bahamas with her film crew and was heading back to the US when the private plane that they were on crashed just moments after takeoff. She was killed along with 7 other people on the plane. One man survived the crash and was flown to Florida for treatment immediately after suffering critical injuries. The whole thing was a shock to the world, and the reason she was in the Bahamas was because she was filming her newest music video. Reports started to claim that the plane was overloaded and did not follow the weight capacity standards, which caused it to fall nose first into the ground just 250 feet off the runway. The last photo that we have of the singer is one that was taken by a fan just 2 days before her tragic death. It's so sad to know that this fan was the last one to see her alive. At number 3, Tupac. Tupac was killed on September 13th, 1996 after an unknown assailant shot him 4 times from a white Cadillac while stopped at an intersection in Las Vegas. We know that Tupac was involved in rivalries with a number of different people and that his own actions put a target on his back, but even to this day we have no idea who pulled the trigger 4 times on that September night. It is believed that there are specific ties between the case and certain gang organizations and other rivals, but it's such a messy situation that it's hard to get some solid answers. The last image we have of the rapper is of him in the passenger seat of a car just moments before he was fatally shot. Unfortunately though, this image does not give us any clues as to who killed Tupac. At number 2, Steve Irwin. He had the name the Crocodile Hunter for a reason. Everyone loved to see him getting hands-on with wildlife in a way that many people had never seen before. He honestly seemed invincible when it came to these animals that most of us wouldn't dare touch. But then the unexpected happened and a stingray barb struck him in the heart, killing him at 44 years old. There was only one witness to his death, and it was his cameraman Justin Lyons, who opened up about what really happened. They were filming Ocean's Deadliest and ended up coming across a massive 8-foot-long stingray. As Steve Steve got close to it, the stingray started stabbing wildly with its tail, hundreds of strikes in just a few seconds, and one of them striking his heart. His wife Terry and 2 kids were on vacation when he passed and flew home when they heard the news. The last footage that we have of the crocodile hunter is a video that was filmed by a tourist the day before Steve passed away from massive blood loss following the incident with the stingray. And finally, at number 1, Marilyn Monroe. Actress Marilyn Monroe was one of the biggest celebrities of the 20th century. She was an icon beloved by so many, and she was super successful in Hollywood. However, behind all that success was a lot of sadness, and no matter how much money she had, it still didn't make her life much better. Though she had an estimated net worth of about $27 million at the time, all of that money couldn't make up for the hardships that she faced behind the scenes. She already carried trauma from her childhood, and according to biographers, Marilyn also struggled with her mental health and found it difficult to cope with her own fame. On top of that, each of her 3 marriages ended in divorce. She endured miscarriages and faced illnesses as well. Marilyn didn't get her chance to see her life turn around for the better as she passed away so young, and the last images that we have of her were taken while she was on vacation in Lake Tahoe just days before she passed away in her home.